women's running. Women's running stories. Hello and welcome to Women's Running Stories. My name is Cherie Turner. I am your host and producer. And this is a special live recording from the 2023 Boston Marathon Expo. I teamed up once again with my friends Julie and Lisa from the Run Farther and Faster podcast. This year, we were in conversation with three incredible women, Jacqueline Hansen, Marilyn Bevans, and Patty Dillon, all pioneering women who have podiumed at the Boston Marathon. We got to hear about their experiences, their stories. It was a great conversation. And as you're going to hear at the end, we then handed the mic over to the Boston Athletic Association board member, Adrienne Benton, who presented Marilyn Bevans with a number of honors for the many, many contributions that she has made to the sport of marathoning. So listen through all the way to the end. Thank you so much for being here, and without further ado, here is our live event, the Podium Pioneers Panel at the Boston Marathon Expo.
Hello, hello. Hello. We are on. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Podium Pioneers Panel. We are here to talk to three people who helped form the foundation of this sport and whose accomplishments have continued on through the years, right through today. I wanted to thank the BAA for having us, especially Suzanne Walmsley and Katie Hawks, and also Adrienne Benton for her help. I am Cherie Turner. I'm the host and producer of Women's Running Stories. It's a podcast about women telling their stories about running. And I am here with my co-hosts.
Yep, I'm Lisa, and this is Julie Sapper. We are running coaches with Run Farther and Faster. We have been coaching together for 14 years. We coach runners all over the world. And we also have a Boston Marathon's very near and dear to our hearts. We have a combined 31 finishes here at Boston. So in 2019, we started a podcast, the Run Farther and Faster podcast, that was focused on the Boston Marathon and on highlighting experts and champions and helping people train for the Boston Marathon. So we are so delighted to be here today with three women who paved the road for us to be here today.
So now we'd like to introduce these incredible women who are joining us today. These are our Podium Pioneers. I will start with introducing Marilyn Bevans. Marilyn is the first African-American woman to break 3 hours in the marathon. She did so at the Boston Marathon in 1975. She then went on in 1977 to become the first African-American woman to podium at the Boston Marathon, where she placed second. She then achieved her lifetime PR at the Boston Marathon in a time of 2:49 in 1979. Among Marilyn's many honors, just yesterday, Marilyn was inducted into the Springfield College Hall of Fame, Athletic Hall of Fame. She is also featured in the documentary Breaking 3 Hours, and 4 women who are also featured in the documentary will be running in Marilyn's honor tomorrow at the Boston Marathon. Lastly, Marilyn is celebrating her 10-year induction into the National Black Marathoners Hall of Fame. Welcome, Marilyn.
And I get to introduce Jacqueline Hansen. 50 years ago, Jacqueline won the Boston Marathon. She then went on to set the world record in the marathon a couple of times. She was the first woman to run under 2:40, and she is also an advocate for women's distance running. As the president of the International Runners Community, she helped lobby for distance running in the Olympics, which of course included us getting the women's marathon in the Olympics in 1984. So thank you, Jacqueline.
And I have the honor of introducing Patty Catalano-Dillon, who is here. Patty, we love Patty's story because Patty didn't come into running the traditional route. Patty started running at 23 to get healthy and she had to stop smoking. So a smoker, not a traditional background to running. So we love that about her. And that just less than 2 years later, she was breaking 2 hours and 30 minutes in the marathon. Patty is a three-time runner-up here at the Boston Marathon. She's been a runner-up at the New York City Marathon. She has won countless marathons, and she is the first Native American woman to accomplish these feats. And she is the head coach of the Wings of America Elite Running Team for Native American runners. So welcome, Patty.
All right, now let's hear from these women. So we've all heard that they've had amazing accomplishments here at the Boston Marathon. Marilyn breaking 3 hours, Marilyn having a podium finish and also having your PR here. Jacqueline, you won here. Patty, you podiumed 3 times. So starting with Marilyn, can you please share one of your most memorable experiences from here at the Boston Marathon?
Hello, everyone. I like that question. Really, when you were starting out way back in the 70s, so yeah, I'm an old person. Boston was everything. Everybody was trying to go to Boston. And I was running, and I give a lot of credit to the Baltimore Road Runners to help me get me started after I got out of graduate school and went back home. And they really started me on my way. And we always were training, and I remember the first time I ran with them, they said, Marilyn, we're going out for a nice, easy 20 miles. And I went, okay, because I've never been that fast, but at least I could run distance. And because of them, I remember the first time we came to Boston, they chartered a plane, and the Baltimore Road Runners came up on a plane. And I ran the Boston Marathon for the first time, and I'm a tough little lady. I'm from Baltimore City. I coached 18 years in Baltimore City and 13 in Baltimore County, and I retired after 31 years of teaching because if I didn't, I was going to take out somebody's child. They were going to take out me. Enough is enough. I'm still coaching high school cross country and track, which I love to death because I can come in late and leave, so that works out. Saying that, when I got to my first Boston Marathon, and I had trained and I ran pretty good, and I'm about to finish the race, and this black lady is not much of a crybaby, trust me. But I started crying. And tears are coming down my eyes, and I'm going to finish. And then finally, part of me, like you see the comics on TV with the devil on one side and the angel on the other, and the angel saying, come on, Marilyn, you got to keep running. The devil said, keep on crying, you can't breathe, keep on crying. Finally, I realized I could not run and cry at the same time. So I stopped crying and kept running so I could finish the Boston Marathon, it was a great honor. It was great to be up there with the Baltimore Road Runners. It was a great first experience. And I will not give you the story of my life about the lack of speed that I do have in these very skinny legs. Saying that, I realized very soon that marathoning and distant racing was more my speed than anything else. So I'm honored to be here, and thank you.
I think we can all relate, and for those who are first-time marathoners, those tears coming when you get toward the finish line of the Boston Marathon. Jackie, 50 years ago, you won here today at this race. What is your lasting memory from that day?
Oh, my goodness. It changed my life. I mean, everybody was surprised. I knew nobody, and nobody knew me. And I was just a mediocre miler from Los Angeles who had stumbled into the marathon in December, and a friend who went to Yale said, they just started letting women run the Boston Marathon officially this year. You should go. So after I said, what's in Boston? Then I got an education. And I actually trained for it. I hadn't trained for my first one, but I had won my first one. He said, you should go to Boston. I came to Boston. It was a heat wave, so I got lucky because I'm from California. So everybody else is complaining about the heat, and I'm going, what heat? And then they're complaining about the hills, and I had to ask, kind of like Joni did, where are the hills? Where's Heartbreak Hill? And it's like, are you crazy? We just passed them. So I come from California. We run hills. We run in heat. I got lucky. I won. And I was as surprised as everyone else. And it changed my life. I have to tell you, a Boston medal is worth an Olympic medal. All of a sudden, I'm getting invitations to go races. They wanted to pay me to go to a race. I got airline tickets. You know, it was a whole new thing. So I guess I wasn't a miler, I was a marathoner. But my coach, you know, he put me back, both feet on the ground when I got home. I just did my mile workouts like everybody else. But sometime when we actually started to get serious about the marathon, he just gave me 3 times as much as everybody else. So that day changed my life forevermore.
And Patty, as we mentioned earlier, your trajectory to the Boston Marathon is so unique. So once you got there, what was your most memorable moment at the Boston Marathon?
Your first time.
That I finished. My first time running Boston, I didn't know, I'm a Quincy girl. And Quincy and Boston, you really didn't venture into Boston because what's in Boston? It's all here in Quincy. You don't have to go there. And I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to quit smoking. I wanted to change my life because I was really unhappy with the whole situation, what I was in. And I thought, you know, I'll try this thing called jogging. And because you can burn like 700 calories in an hour. And I thought, you know, okay, do the math. By the end of the week, I'll lose 21 pounds. No, really, I really believed it. Because the first time I ran, I lost 3. It was water weight. I didn't know that. I fell into a group, a good running group of guys. Go figure, right? I had only been running, you know, like a couple of weeks or something because the first time I ran, I had to take 3 weeks off because I was so sore. You know, this walk. I did that. But I was so happy. I was so happy the way I felt the first time I ran. I ran an hour around the Quincy City Cemetery, and I did 7 miles. Who knew, right? I didn't find out till later. But I was so sore, but I was so happy, so happy. I went into the locker room at the Y, and I couldn't believe that the women at the key towel exchange said, okay, here you go. And they just looked at me, and I thought, wow, what's the matter? I was the only one in the locker room, and I looked in the mirror. I was completely white, red around the eyes with black rings under them. And I thought, how could I look so bad and feel so good? Look so bad and feel so good. It was real. And I went into the shower. I was the only one in there, and I weighed myself, you know, that little medical thing. And I'm hitting the thing, you know, the metal thing. 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds. So I went into the shower, and I feel, you know, in the shower, and as soon as the water hit my head, I thought, wow, this is so good. Now, I grew up on the beach in Quincy and Howes Neck, so I was always in the water. But this particular time, this particular day, when the water hit me, it felt so good, something like I never had before. And I cried. I'm not a crying person. And I say, and I tell the story at times, it wasn't so much like a boo-hoo cry. I wept. I never had this feeling before. Never. And I thought, oh, this is so good. And if I have to do this to get that, this is what I'm going to do. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, well, really almost a month later, the Boston Marathon happened. It was 1976, and I fell into this group of guys, and I'm listening to them talk, the Boston Marathon, and I had no idea what the Boston Marathon was. And they were regaling so much that I could only keep up with them for a mile, from the Quincy Library to the Quincy Stadium. And I'm listening to the stories, and I blurted out, hey, I'm going to do that. And they looked at me, Jake Mahoney, Milton Kopp, looks at me and says, you're going to do this. I said, oh, yeah. Well, you have to qualify. I have to run to prove that I can run? I don't understand. And he said, oh, no, but it's okay. You have 3.5 hours to do it. We have to do it under 3. And I looked at him, and I said, I can do that. And he said, well, we're all going to go to Newport, Rhode Island. We're going to do this marathon. It was only 5-6 months later, and I said, I'm going to do that. How far is a marathon? I had no idea. It was 26.2 miles, he said. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And after they went along their way, I thought, oh my gosh, what did I do? Once again, Patty chews off more than she can chew. And so the training to get there, the best cigarette, what I can come with, I know I shouldn't promote this, but the best tasting cigarette I ever had was after a run. And that was the most challenging thing that I had to do, was quit smoking so that I could do better in the Boston Marathon. It would take me 2 years. My greatest memory of Boston was that the fact that I could get in it. And I ran it, and I got second to Joni. Joni set a new she set a new American record that day. She set a new American record that day. She did 2:35, and I did a 2:38. I was second. And no, I didn't have a cigarette afterwards. However, it was the best feeling that I ever had, that not only did I finish a marathon, I started a marathon, and I did Boston, but they give out little medals for the top 100, and that's what I have. Of all the trophies that I have received, most of them I've given away or they've been lost here or there. But for all of these years, almost 50 years, that's what I have. I have my one little medal, BAA Top 100. Thank you.
Amazing.
Greetings from Evergreen Podcasts. We're rolling out a listener survey, and we want to hear from you. The information in the survey will help us gather statistics and in turn make our shows more appealing to advertisers. I know most people don't like ads, but this is one of the only ways our shows make money and help keep their lights on. We promise it will only take a few minutes, but the impact on our podcasts will be tremendous. As a token of our appreciation, we'll randomly select one lucky participant each month to win an exclusive merchandise package from Evergreen Podcasts. Head to evergreenpodcast.com/listenersurvey to help a show and possibly get some free stuff for doing so. We can't thank you enough for the support. Now back to the show.
So now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the race.
Okay.
So all of you have had obviously tremendous success on the Boston course, and you have a captive audience here because so many folks will be running tomorrow. So first, I want to ask you, Marilyn, what strategies did you employ at the Boston Marathon that made you so successful and ultimately achieve your lifetime PR at Boston?
For my running, I always knew you got to keep your head. When that gun goes off, you have people look like, oh, they're not running that fast. I'm going to run with them. And you find out they're running very fast, and you're slowing down very fast. Saying that, it's important that you keep your head. If you have a timetable that you need to keep, you need to stick to that, unless it's something that was out of your reach in the first place. Just don't go out there with people thinking, I can stay with so-and-so or this one, or they don't look that fast. Your top athletes, normally they look really smooth. It looks like it's not bothering them, but it'll bother you. So you got to think about your pace, got your little piece of paper on your hands, however you do it, if they still do that, to see your pace and keep to your pace. Now, when you're 20 miles, you can start picking up fine or whatever, but stick to your pace, have self-control, make sure you drink on a regular basis, not let anybody deter you from your task. One time I was running Boston, and I guess because there's few black females doing it, this one black photographer got in front of me running backwards, taking pictures of my legs. Now, if you look at these goddamn legs right here, you know darn well nobody need to take any pictures of them. Plus, it's kind of embarrassing. I'm trying to run, you running backwards in my way. And I didn't say anything because you don't want to say something smart, then say Marilyn Bevans said this. You got to watch what you say. They changed around. And also, I knew sooner or later he was going to give up and go away, which he did do. So you just have to have patience. You try going out with some of those top people. I can hang with him, sure, for a mile, 2, 3. And then you're walking away, and they're starting to pick it up. So please, know your pace, write on your hand, however you do it now, but be in control of yourself. Try to have some running buddies or somebody your same speed to stay together. But trying to do what so-and-so does will kill you every time. And make sure you stay hydrated. Drink before, drink during. That's very important. Don't be macho. Macho can get people killed. And I've seen people pass out at the finish line, and that was it. They didn't get back up. You gotta be realistic. Eat right, drink right, sleep right, and have self-control. Okay.
Spoken like a true coach, for sure. Any coach will tell you, go out at your pace, don't go out too fast, and stay on top of your nutrition and hydration. Jackie, what's your advice for this course? You've obviously had success here.
Very, very, very similar. Yeah, I've run a few times here. And my runner, I had a high school runner, John, who can verify that I always tell my runners to break it up in 4 parts, like a miler, right? It's only 4 10Ks back to back, that's all. So lap number 1, you're getting out of the pack, getting out of traffic, and getting your position, and you'll find your pace. Don't go out too fast. Lap 2 is cruise control. Hang on to that pace. Don't be greedy. You're not even halfway yet, so don't accelerate yet. Cruise control. Lap 3, your body naturally wants to slow down. You're past the halfway mark, and you need to make more effort just to stay the same. So you increase your effort just to stay the same. Lap 4, you give it all you got. You know, you want to wake up in the morning and not have regrets. And, oh, could I have sped up? Could I have passed that person? You know when you lost contact. You know when you let go. You know when you're psyching yourself out in your head like, oh, I don't feel so good, or oh, I can't keep up with that person, or whatever it is. Only you know. And as I told another runner in here, I coach his coach, Steve, reminded me that the best advice I gave him was to crest that hill. So just because you get to the top of the hill, don't slow down. You crest that hill and keep that momentum going. All righty? Works for me.
Very good advice.
I do love that we have 3 coaches. Well, we have a lot of coaches here up on the panel. So, Patty, the same question on to you. What sort of advice or
I wish I heard
suggestions-
this earlier. I really, Dudley do life, right? No, I wasn't there. And with Jackie breaking it up, I always ran right to the wall. And it just took me the longest time not to hit my head. And so it's all sound and good advice. But when you get out there, your adrenaline's flowing, you're enthusiastic, you're nervous, and you're like, what the heck? And you don't know where you are, and you're like, oh, just relax. I can only tell you, take a breath and relax. Go with the flow. The race doesn't begin until Cleveland Circle, and we all know what happened at Cleveland Circle. You take that left-hand turn at Cleveland Circle, and you just fly to the finish. That's all it is. Just fly to the finish. It's only a 5K. So the first, 23 miles, have a great time. Relax. Go with the flow. Let your body calm down. Let your mind catch up to your body. Just be calm. Just be nice. Just be nice. Because you are. You're going to do great. You're going to do great. I'm not kidding you. And then when you take the left-hand turn, it's all smooth sailing to the finish. I've done it 3 times. Well, I've done it 4 or 5 times. I've done many times practicing, though. I'll tell you that. But it's all sound advice, what they give you. I wish I knew that earlier because I didn't do that.
Thank you. And
Don't follow
Jackie
me.
wanted to add one more thought.
I didn't just coach runners. that were experienced runners. For 7 years, I coached Team Diabetes charity group, and the challenge was I had to get them from 0 to 26 in exactly 6 months. And I'm not sure, Allison, what was the best advice I ever gave you, but I'm guessing a lot of times I had to advise them. One group would be finishing, and they're like on their 18-miler on Sunday morning, and one group would be starting, and they're doing their 3 miles, and they're looking at the 18-milers going, she's going to make me run 18 miles one day? And I think I told you all that you will get there if you follow the program, and consistency is your only secret. Is there anything else you would add? She's right. I didn't have a website. We didn't even have email, much less text. They got their workout for the week in the mail every week. Thank you, Allison.
So speaking of how things have changed, we want to hear what you've done kind of post-Boston. So Marilyn, you were the first American-born, African-American woman to break 3 hours, which really paved the way for many women after you. There's now a whole list, and we highly recommend watching the documentary Breaking 3 Hours, which highlights a long list of women who have done this. When that happened, when you did that, did you realize what you were doing and kind of the path that you were paving?
No. I did not know that I was the first to break 3 hours for African American women until Tony Reed invited me. I was getting an award for the Black Marathoners Association. I really didn't know why I was getting this award. It took me a long time to realize, I was the first to break 3 hours, and my first reaction was, are you sure? I don't want some other woman coming 5 years later at my front door and to lay me out saying that I lied, and I'm from Baltimore City. You kind of think ahead. So it took me a while to realize nobody's coming up. I think I really did it. And that's all I can say about that.
That's so funny. Jackie, you won Boston, and then you did the Go Big or Go Home. You then became president of the International Runners Committee and was a huge influence in opening up women's distance events in the Olympics. How did Boston propel you to that role?
Well, she's a hard act to follow, you know. I was following the lead of many women before me. Somebody opened that door for me at Boston. Somebody opened that door for me back in Culver City, where I ran my first marathon. Actually, back when I was a senior in high school, somebody opened that door for me to even go to track. I failed at every sport, and that's why I signed up for track. And so I learned, you ask why, or more importantly, why not? I have to tell you that whole activism chapter of my life was really started selfishly because I was the world record holder from 74 to 77 with no Olympics to go to. And I'd been a miler where you can go to Olympic trials. So I learned to ask, why not? And maybe I could go to Montreal in 76. Reporters were saying you must be the favorite for Montreal. And I go, well, yeah, except they don't have our event. And people were surprised. I still bump into people today who are surprised that 1984 was the first Olympic marathon. A lot of people don't know that. All these years later, we all know it, but all these years later, you can all assume you can run the 5, you can run the 10, you can run the marathon, and some of them have no idea what a battle it was in the 70s. And actually, that's kind of a good thing because I'm stealing this line from Donna Lapiano of the Women's Sports Foundation. She came to talk to my school, and they too, she said, how many of you know what Title IX is? And most of them didn't. And she said, that's okay. It's kind of nice that you take it for granted you have equal rights. That's kind of a good thing. But as I tell youngsters all the time, respect your past, and the people who made those opportunities. Think and reflect on your future, have goals, be driven, and try to leave this world in a better place than you found it, and live in the present. So think past, future, and present. Live in the present and make the most of your God-given rights and your talent, and don't waste it. You know, make the most of every opportunity.
Thank you. And sort of along these same lines, Patty, you as a 3-time runner-up here, how did that impact your life and also the work that you do with the Wings of America elite team?
Well, thankfully, we have the Olympics in 1984. We have the women's marathon. Thank you, Jackie. I didn't aspire to be any kind of an athlete or, runner or Olympian or world record holder, American record holder. I had nothing at all. My only ambition, I didn't even have an ambition. I think it was, I just kind of wanted to run the Boston Marathon and do the steps that you had to do to get here. And I did. And it took me 3 years to get here. 76, I started running, I qualified. I didn't make it until 79 because I didn't run in the wintertime. It was snowing out, it was wet, and I wasn't gonna do that. However, I did make it, and I only wanted to finish, and I ended up being second, and it was like, oh, okay. Really, I had no dreams, whatever, at all. And then I crossed the finish line, I got my little medal, and I thought, oh, wow, now what? I don't know. But it does, like Jackie has mentioned, that the Boston Marathon does open doors for you. You get invited to races, da-da-da-da-da-da. But for me, for a person who didn't have a dream of an iota, it opened up this and this. And I wanted more. And and I got more. Not so much that I ran faster and did world records. It wasn't about that at all. It was about me giving myself a chance to try. And I had to break it down. Try what? To be the best that I could be at something and don't care what anybody else says.
Very well said. Thank you. That's timeless
I
advice.
can leave you with what I want to tell you. I didn't start dreaming until later. After Boston, I was like, okay, maybe I can win the thing, That didn't happen. Oh, well. And you move on to other things. And all the dreams that I had, the little ones, the big ones, I wanted to have a family, I wanted to have kids, and that didn't happen until I was in my 40s. So I had a long time to go. Of all the dreams that I wanted, of all the dreams I dreamt, I'm gonna leave you with dream bigger.
We cannot imagine a better way to close out our questions for these amazing women who, again, we thank for paving the way for so many of us. And we have about 5 minutes for any audience questions. So I don't know if we have a mic, and do we have a mic for we have a mic for the audience? Any questions for these wonderful ladies? Anyone? Don't be shy. Right here. Yep.
Hi, good afternoon, ladies. Thank you for being here. What's one piece of advice or words of wisdom you would have for female athletes today as they juggle the multiple roles as you may have, motherhood, athlete, working professional? What words of advice and wisdom would you give them in still continuing to pursue those athletic dreams?
Jackie, do you want to start?
Patty or me? Me. Okay. Yeah, I'm all of those. I started to learn to prioritize my time in college. I paid my own way through college. I had my own housing, and so I had a job. The job made everything else possible. So had the job, had to keep my grades up to stay eligible so I could run. And then I had my coach. My coach was the epitome of disciplinarian, like a drill sergeant. So we had, his name was Laszlo Tabori. He was a Hungarian, Olympian, Army, drill sergeant, like that. Anyway, but taskmaster. So I had morning workouts, I had evening workouts, and I either went to before or after work, before or after school. I gave up television. So I learned that discipline. I still don't have television. It's like a little family joke. But I gave up a lot, and I just learned to prioritize. My everyday revolved around my running, and then everything else, was in place. That brought me into, adult life when I have a child. I have marriage and a child and a job and still running. We didn't have the luxury of, I think we were all before contracts, stipends, prize money for sure. So the running, and I'm not sure I would have wanted my paycheck to depend on my performance. I was running for fun and for goals, very goal-oriented. So I just think it's about prioritizing your time. Don't make any of your family suffer for your. My child doesn't like running, but I'll admit that right up front. But he stayed athletic and fit and everything else, but he had enough running. And even though I tried my hardest not to hang those trophies or medals or, both mom and dad run, wasn't his thing. But I think prioritizing and being consistent and being dedicated.
It's great advice. And Patty, you did have a contract, correct? And I know I've heard you talk about the pressure of having a contract. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about the pressure of having a family.
It changed the game. It really did. Jackie worked for getting the Olympics, the marathon in the Olympics, and I was like, okay. I went to Hawaii and I won the Honolulu Marathon, and afterwards a shoe company took us all on to Maui, and I happened to see the bill, and I was appalled. I lived with 4 guys, shared bathroom, had to walk through 2 bedrooms to get to the bathroom, okay? But it was great because we all ran, we all did the life, it was great. I saw the bill and I thought, I could really live 3 months off that bill. And it planted a seed that I really loved to run. I worked full time. And I thought, well, how come I can't make a living doing what I love to do? And so it started, and there started to be talk amongst all the athletes. There was money, there was stipends, there was per diem, and I learned that if I went 5 days before the race, did the race, and stayed 5 days after the race, I would get per diem, 10 days. So I learned, and so that's what I did, go to race. And it changes the ball game when you sign a contract. There's no fun run. It's like if you're sick, you gotta run. You have X amount of races, and it's a job. And it was a great job, and I loved it. And I could do it again.
Fabulous. And Marilyn, what is your advice with respect to juggling all of the balls in your life and how to manage it all?
I know I'm going to come with left field with this one. God first, family second, running third. When I started running a couple years later, they started having the running boom, and everybody was out running, and some people doing all this mileage in the morning or in the evening. They had wives or husbands at home. They're kind of forgetting them so they can run. I'm a single lady, never married, but I feel sorry for these people that felt that running was more important than their husband and wife, and it wasn't. And I'm quite sure later in life they found that out. That's the first thing. While I'm up here, I'm also going to say this because I like to throw this out every time I do these type things. Ladies and gentlemen, running can help you stay in good shape. I've been to the doctors recently. Marilyn, you're doing fine. Your knees are fine, all of this. But make sure you still go to the doctors once a year. No, running cannot take the place of your medications. I've had people not take their medications, and then remember Jim Fix, he had the heart trouble, didn't take medication, dropped dead on the run. For a long time, I would not take medication. Finally, my doctor said, you don't take after your mother, you take after your father. My father had high blood pressure. He became blind because of glaucoma. He had a lot of things wrong with my poor dad. When they told me I had glaucoma, I asked for the drops real fast because I know that's the only way to save your eyes. But Mom lived to 93, Dad died in 77 because Mom took everything she needed to take. So right now, I'm taking 2 medications, high blood pressure and cholesterol, and I still run. But as you get older and your background, black, white, or whatever the background, you're going to have some issues. Take your medications. Go to the doctors. Gentlemen, I have a running buddy, and this is what he told me. I said, why don't men want to come out here and run, exercise? Why don't they take their medication? He said, they're not going to do it. Let a man know he can't have sex, be foul. You'd be surprised how fast he can take that medication. Please. True story. Take it again. Keep your family, keep God first, family second, and please, this is not God. Take your medications, do what you need to do.
Thank you so much. So this wraps up this portion of our panel discussion. I want to thank these 3 women for everything, for being here and everything you've done. But don't leave. We have a special presentation. I want you to give these women their applause, all 3 of them. Thank you so much. And I'm going to hand the mic over to Adrienne Benton, wherever she is.
Right here.
Oh, there you are. Sorry. This is BAA board member Adrienne Benton, and she has a special presentation for Marilyn. And we're going to hand it over to you guys.
So you all may not know this, but last evening, Marilyn Bevans was inducted into the Springfield College Athletic Hall of Fame. And also, yesterday was Marilyn Bevans Day in the city of Springfield, Massachusetts. So I'm going to call up my fellow board member, Keith McDermott, and Keith is also vice chair of our board and a graduate of Springfield College. So he's going to present Marilyn with the proclamation.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I learned so much in this conversation here. And first of all, let me just give Adrienne Benton a hand for engineering this. Thank you, Adrienne. And she's also a trailblazer. She's the first African-American woman on the board of the BAA. So she is a trailblazer like Marilyn. Now, Marilyn, I ran track at Springfield College. I met my wife of 1982, 41 years ago. She's sitting over there. And she also ran track. And when we got to Springfield, it was the norm to have a women's team. So I wanted to find out, what was it like for you not having a track team there? I know Vern Cox, and you just answer real quick, but you really made a difference for her.
There's a law called Title IX. I was before Title IX, like so many people in my age bracket. Even at Morgan State University, at that point, our guys had won 36 straight football games. There was a men's track team. There was no track team for girls. We had basketball, volleyball, field hockey. I played field hockey because you get to run up and down with the stick. But there was no track team. When I left Morgan, the gentleman from Springfield College was our instructor at the time, and he kind of encouraged myself, one of my girlfriends from college, to go up there. Well, she met her husband at Springfield, and I finally got to run regularly. There was a gentleman there by the name, a coach at Springfield College, where we went for our master's work, who, when I said they had track, I said, well, I'm going to go out and see if I can run with the team. He looks at me and says, would you like to run? I said, yes. He says, well, this is the first day of practice. They have a nice, easy 3 miles. And when we got back, they said, how'd she do? They said she did fine. Now, as a graduate student, I guess things are a little different now. I could not run, but I could train with the team. And because of Coach Cox, I got to start training regularly with some type of support. Boston and Massachusetts area, even back then, was a hotbed of road racing and the Boston Marathon. Even then, we're talking about 50 years ago. So saying that, that's where I got my start for road racing. I went back to finish my thesis, and I would take in a couple of road races. And then, ladies, if you weren't the first woman, you got nada. Nothing. I mean, we actually have come a long way, baby, and that's the true story, because we have over the years when we didn't have anything. I was there, nothing for girls. Ladies, I'm so happy to see so many. You can go to college for gymnastics, volleyball, track and field, you name it, and you can still be a woman. Back then, if you were doing that, you were considered strange. You know, so many things have changed now, which I'm so happy for our ladies, black, white, whoever. And I try and encourage all girls. If they enjoy running, you can be all women and you can still be a gymnast, a runner, volleyball, field hockey, you name it. And enjoy it while you can.
Thank you so much. So in my role here, now that I've changed the program a little bit, forgive me, Adrian, I have a proclamation here from the city of Springfield for you, and it reads, "Let be it be known, the city of Springfield, Massachusetts, hereby recognizes Marilyn Bevans, whereas Marilyn Bevans, born October 4th in Baltimore, Maryland, is a trailblazer and a legendary distance runner who is known for many achievements, most notably becoming the first African-American woman runner to break 3 hours in the Boston Marathon. In 1977, Bevans was ranked as one of the top female runners in the world." I'm just going to keep going. A lot of this you've heard. When she approached her high school coach and college teams, she found there were no teams to join. However, she persisted in running for herself until Springfield College coach Vern Cox, who was there when I was there, asked her to train with the men's team, distance runners. Beyond her running career, Bevans founded Baltimore Sun Strata Track Club. Know those guys. She has been a high school cross-country and track coach in Maryland for over 30 years, earning 2 All-Metro Coach of the Year awards. Today, the city of Springfield is proud to join Springfield College, Marilyn Bevans' family and friends in celebrating her success and mentoring to the youth. Please join us and wish her good health and continued success. So on behalf of Springfield College, the Springfield College alum, congratulations.
Ladies,
now, Marilyn, hold up. We don't have a lot of time, so we got to keep it moving. So we have the Black Unicorn Marathoners. We'd like to come up, and they have a special presentation for you also.
So this presentation is from the Black Unicorn Marathoners, and it reads, "Dear Ms. Bevans, on behalf of the Black Unicorn Marathoners, we extend our congratulations and love to you on your induction into the Springfield College Athletic Hall of Fame. You are a groundbreaker and an inspiration to us all. As the first Black American woman to run under 3 hours in the marathon, timing 2:55:52 in Boston at the 1975 race, attaining 3 consecutive top 10 finishes at Boston between 1975 and 1977, and your second place finish at the 1977 81st running of the Boston Marathon. Your legacy as an athlete is undeniable. You continue to serve as an ambassador to the sport of distance running, and through your activities as a coach, educator, mentor, speaker, and track official, you work tirelessly to promote equity in the distance running. We are honored to say thank you for all you do, and again, congratulations. With love, respect, and admiration from the Black Unicorn Marathoners."
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I had to be very honest with you.
Well, we got one more thing.
One more?
One more. Not yet.
Okay.
So we'd like to introduce, we have 4 outstanding women who have formed an honorary team to run the Boston Marathon in honor of Marilyn Bevans. We have Ingrid Walters, Sika Henry, Shawana White, and Elisa Harvey. They are all outstanding athletes in their own rights. They're all sub-3 hour marathoners. Please. Now I've got to introduce Joanne Flamio, who is a member of the Board of Governors for the Boston Athletic Association. You've already met Keith and then myself. We want to do a special presentation to Marilyn.
On behalf of the Boston Athletic Association, we extend heartfelt congratulations to Marilyn Bevans on being inducted into the Springfield College Athletic Hall of Fame. As a pioneering athlete and determined runner, Marilyn became the first Black American woman to run under 3 hours in the marathon, timing 2:55:52 in Boston at the 1975 race. Her 3 consecutive top 10 finishes at Boston between 1975 and 1977, culminating with a runner-up placing at the 81st running in 1977, cemented Marilyn's legacy as the world's oldest annual and most historic marathon. Marilyn continues to serve as a pioneer and ambassador, sharing her time at countless engagements throughout the year. Her induction into the National Black Marathon Association's Distance Runner Hall of Fame and role in the recently launched documentary Breaking 3 Hours has helped educate and inspire athletes throughout America. We at the Boston Athletic Association are extremely proud to call Marilyn a friend and a Boston marathoner. On behalf of the BAA Board of Governors and staff, we express our congratulations once again as Marilyn Bevans earns enshrinement within the Springfield Athletic College Hall of Fame. Go Marilyn.
Thank you all. And also, all of these women, all 5 of these women are part of the National Black Marathoners Association Distance Running Hall of Fame. And the president of the National Black Marathoners is here today. Just wanted to know if he wanted to come up and say a few words. There he is, Tony. Tony Reed.
Thank you very much. I just kind of wanted to let all of you know the impact of the documentary Breaking 3 Hours. It took 45 years for 19 African-American women to break 3 hours in the marathon, 45 years. When we started working on this project, over a 2-year period, 9 additional ones broke 3 hours after hearing about the impact of the documentary. So I'd like to thank these ladies for being a part of the documentary, and especially would also like to thank Shawana White, because people don't realize she was the one who contacted Amby Burford, who is the senior editor of Runner's World, and she asked him how many African-American women have ever broken 3 hours in a marathon. Amby contacted myself, and he contacted Gary Corbett. And Gary Corbett did all the legwork and identified all the African-American women who had broken 3 hours. So a lot of the credit goes to Shawana for asking the question, and to Gary for doing all the legwork, and I especially too like to thank Marilyn for agreeing to be a part of the documentary, because I believe if she hadn't said yes, I'm not sure if anyone else would have agreed to it. So again, thank you, Marilyn.
Women's running. Women's running stories.
Hear Her Sports is a podcast for everyone who loves stories by and about women striving to improve and make a difference in their lives. I am your host, Elizabeth Emery, a former professional cyclist. In every episode, I introduce a female athlete or woman in the business of sport through a thoughtful conversation about who they are and the terrific work they're doing. My guests and I explore the glorious and frustrating issues in sports, history, equity, training, nutrition, and so much more. Join us for inspiration, for community, and for love of being a strong, athletic woman.